years, I think so. Before that, I worked many years in media. I started many years ago hacking. Like even if I was in high school, I was trying to like even code like in Pascal and Basic. They're very old languages. Nobody don't use it anymore. But then I worked for many companies, and one day it kind of like said, no, that's enough. I just want to do the things on my way, and I know that I can do it, and nobody else is smarter than me. And I totally like Steve Jobs, who has said that in the moment when you realize that everything around you is done by the people similar like you, then you realize that you can actually do anything. Because all the things, whatever you look, is done by the humans. So my first startup was not so big success. Even though I worked in media, I know still quite many people in all media groups, in whatever Express, Postimees, and so on. So it's I had kind of proud moment when my first startup failure was very proudly written in Express. So I had my own article saying that, oh my God, this guy failed. Can you imagine? Startup is failing. But like giving you like honest feedbacks, and startup is like you're working in the lab, and 90% of your tests is fail. And if you are not getting used to that feeling, then it's very less to do so, because failing is part of the learning. But failing can be big time. It's not like it can be hurt everything around you. But that's the way it is. You can't. I don't believe. By the way, I have been studying in Tartu University leadership and marketing. Never finished. I have studied also in ABS IT leadership. Never finished. I don't believe you can learn doing a startup in the school or high school or in the university. It's impossible. Because the only way how you can do that is by doing and testing out, failing, testing one time, again and again. So, and if I look like my co-founders around me, they don't have like the education what is needed for the role what they are doing now. My co-founder, who is CTO, who is the most talented guy in IT field, which I know, because he can do design, he can do front end, he can do back end, and he can handle servers in the highest level ever. He has never studied IT. To be honest, he studied in Tartu University half year Estonian language. I truly never understood why he did it, but still. And when he was 15, he worked full time already for the IT company. So basically, he paid for his own high school, because it happens to be one school where you can pay for education, which is Okamara. So he was already independent. He was 15, and now we know each other already like more than 10 years. So the point is like, and I believe Peter Thiel, very famous founder of PayPal and one of the most successful VCs and the investors now, is even has special grant for the people who will discontinue high school and start to be startup entrepreneurs. So he really motivates people to get out of education. I'm not so extreme, but I truly believe that even education is awesome and it's super needed. For doing a startup, I don't think that it is the most needed thing. Think about Mark Zuckerberg and other guys, But anyway, I don't wanna just please stay in high school and don't just go back to school and fuck it, I don't wanna finish it. No, it's fine. You can still do it. So these are the one of the Patra is indeed as well, but this is just one of the most successful companies for me at least. I'm very proud that one of them, we started in Garage 48, which is actually in many ways, by the way, talking about Garage 48, and I hope that other people will also talk, is that Garage 48 is extreme schooling to get feeling what it feels work for a startup. Sometimes I'm getting out of real company like Vitafields, because Vitafields started in Corral 48. But many times, this is just, best way how to learn new things, have more people in your network, and understand what it feels to be in startup. Because without testing and doing something, it's super hard to get into that field. But all of these companies is many ways common, because the most important thing in all companies are team. Without team you can't do anything. So your first lesson usually, or first test is, can you find best possible teammates for your future company if you want to do one. And as I said, I spent many years working for other people before going and making my own company. And through this time, I collected the people who do company. So I strongly believe that one way how to make companies is basically work together with people, understand them, because in startup life, things can move down and up constantly. And if somebody can't take that pressure, it's just, it's so hard later to have divorce, I would say, from the team. If you are already doing something, it should be really better to get to know them before you will do company. You're actually super lucky, because Estonia is one of the best countries in many ways to start company. And this is not only me who believes that, but also Tim Draper, who is another very famous VC in Silicon Valley, and he really believes that this is a very great environment to start company, because you can be so effective here. Everything is fast. You have internet, you have e-government, you have all these e-services, other things. The only big problem is the fact that we don't have almost any market. Estonia is a micro country, truly micro country. It's only 1.3 million people. I was in Pipedrive has today clients in 130 different countries. Our second market is Brazil. And the biggest city worldwide by the number of clients what we have is Sao Paulo. City of Sao Paulo has approximately 20 million people. One city, Sao Paulo, one neighborhood has more people than all this country together. So really, there is no market. I'm not kidding. You can always try to do something, but if you're super good, you will reach your maximum level after 2-3 years. Client base. So the thing what I did wrongly in my first startup was the fact that we stayed too long in Estonia. And when you're getting out of your comfort zone and going to other markets, then the great things could happen. If I go back to this slide, I think that nobody of them had any big thing in Estonia. Like GrabCAD moved, which has done exit, I hope you know. When Hardy was flying to the US, he had this pocket money, a few $1,000s. Then something started to change. Eric the same way. Teleport, okay, this is actually was started in Silicon Valley already. Doggle can be a bit different, because they started first, the founder behind Comfort started first outsourcing company, and did this product for using himself just as a side project. And in 2008, when there was crisis, and he focused more into the Toggle, and again, this is why he's successful, because they have huge customer base worldwide. Otherwise, actually, was started in UK as well, to be honest. Okay, Fortum is other, they have been, students in Tartu started the company, and one moment did it internationally, but again, there is no home market yet. So the problem is you can find your first clients, but sometimes they're giving you even different feedbacks than other clients from other countries. And you should build your product, usually listening people from other countries, because I can give you examples, if we launched our product, if we started the product, then And we were speaking with Estonian clients. And they said, oh, you know, why I should even pay for you? You know, my son can program the similar thing. Because everybody in Estonia has somebody in your whatever, like friend or neighborhood or whatever in a network who's programmer. In US, we showed the product and said, you know, this is the product, this is how you should use it. And they were like, oh my God, yeah, this looks like useful. If he can help me, I will pay you. So basically, the first thing what we did that we was putting pricing into place, taking account from feedback from American clients and from Estonian clients. Or even, actually, that is even some worse ones, like India. Like, we have clients in India as well, but they are complaining every day, it's so expensive! Because our pricing is the same worldwide. So Pipedrive, by the way, let me just go into Pipedrive, because otherwise you will not understand my other examples. Pipedrive is a tool what is helping salespeople to sell more. If you're working in sales, you need to put all information somewhere, like, you know, this is my clients, this is my teams. And we have been focusing how to visualize this data for you in most meaningful way. So you will just log in and see, this is my pipeline, which is basically your, I don't even know how to say it in Estonian, but this is your sales funnel. And you know that you have maybe whatever 10 or 20 or 100 deals which you're working. And you see this in one screen. And in sales, it's important that you know where you're standing with your deals, what you should do next, and what you have done before. So, and we took different approach for this software, and the fact that usually if people will start to use us, they don't need training. They just look video, which is 3 minutes, which explain the basics, and it's helping them already. It's putting like basically information into the right way into their face. I will actually show one very funny video because it was done in 2011. Because Pipedrive today is 4.5 years old. Just basically yesterday, one very famous VC was flying to Estonia just to meet us from New York. So I don't say that we are the biggest because otherwise has bigger headcount, but definitely, if you look companies, and I believe that Pipedrive has reached into the highest number of countries in all Estonian startups, because this 130, we have in those countries at least one client who are paying us money. So, and we have been growing virally. What we have done right, maybe just one thing, first we moved abroad, because we have office in Menlo Park and in Tallinn. Next thing, we have focused on the product and being sure that this product is best solution for the sales guys to help them to be better on the sale. All our philosophy in company is not making money. It's about how we can help salespeople in this very hard work to be more successful. Because I strongly believe that every startup in the world is in the cave or in the cave, or we can say in the cave of making life better, making world better place. And we have focused one group, salespeople. And we are trying to give them similar user experience as they have if they use like in mobile for Facebook, Instagram, or Snapchat or whatever. Because in P2C, I mean the customer applications, to be successful, you have to have very good design, very slick and so on. In business software, by the way, there's still bunch of them very ugly and old softwares. But your boss saying you have to use it. If you hate that, you don't want to use it. So many times in our area, in sales systems, people hate to use existing systems because they have made like 10 years ago, and your manager who has been maybe in this place like forever, he knows how to use it. So he said, just go and use it. But we have focusing how to make this sales guy happy. So I will show just one video, like 2011. I believe that when this video was done, we had maybe 10 paid clients. Today we have, I don't know, tens of thousands paid clients. Before having had any success, we got many no's, like 3 of them at least. And This was one video which was included into the one application. But yeah, the point is that after trying, and then in other moments, 3 months later, we had possibility to choose to which direction we will go. And we picked Ethelbert, which is the accelerator based in Silicon Valley, which is focusing basically how to help this company have at least some revenue to grow and attract VC money and so on. And I totally believe that the time what we spent in US 2011 truly helped us to reach into the level what we are now. It's just these numbers are even not updated. So basically, we don't have paying clients in some African countries, as you can see, but all other countries, majority of them, and also, I don't know what's that. This is Jamaica, maybe, but no, maybe this is Cuba. Maybe we don't have paying clients in Cuba, and I totally believe we shouldn't have also in North Korea. But never know, maybe we have already. And interesting, what is that? This is the Greenland or something? But this is part of Denmark anyway, so.
Don't guess anymore.
Oh?
Don't guess anymore.
Yeah. This is not Greenland? What's that? So, I get this test one, yeah, okay. So anyway, we have it. I'm just giving you the example of the clients who are using us today is even Uber, which is thinking about going Estonia, by the way, which I don't believe they should do because it's so small country. Samsung, Discovery, and so on. And as I told you, don't afraid to be failing. This is example of my personal article, which was in SD Express. So pay me that, this is, you see, even my name is in here. After that article, I was blacklisted for AIS, by the way, and for government people said, oh my god, this is criminal. Most likely this guy should be, put in prison or something. But so this is what we are really lacking today in Estonia. Like for many people, start a failure is criminal case kind of. In Silicon Valley, people say, "Oh my God, you have this experience. So what did you learn out of that?" And they know that definitely, like this is the things what happens. This is more than a good thing because it shows one thing. You try at least. It's not like I have planned and I will not execute my plan. So one graphic is showing how we are growing, and for me, as I said already many times, very important is this moment. This is when we moved to US. We started 2010. It took us 8 months to launch the product. Then it's very, 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 very slow because this is showing paying number of paying customers, and this is showing how much money we are doing. And if you're building your companies, and if you need one slide, and this is the slide what you need to show, and if you want to attract VC money or whatever, you need to show that you are growing. Like I have seen many people say, "Oh, I have an idea, and then we go to investor." You're kidding me. You don't need investor to start a company. You need only investor when you want to build global company. But start a company, no way. You just need your friends and business partners and basic laptop, and you can start it already. And bootstrapping is the best way how to start a company. You would need only when you say, "Oh my God, I'm growing so fast, I don't know anymore how to handle that speed and so on." Then you need some help. So, I hope everybody knows who's that for. So this happens to be also one investor in Pipeside. So so this is an interesting story why he's an investor, but we was the first startup where he ever invested, because he's doing business with some other folk who buy Sacramento Kings, and this guy is from IT. So, but anyway, this is our example of our investor. This is actually, I had the slide said, this is how our product looked after 1 month. So we basically did the very first prototype very fast, because I totally believe if you have idea, you should always try to move very fast. And if we had this, we immediately started basically I started to grow to my friends and partners, this is a product, would you want to use it? And please, I can give you free use it, just give me feedback. I was going around immediately giving product the hands of the customers. But it still took us like 5 months how to polish it. And this is basically how it looks today. If you're very clearly actually looking, it looks like, oh my god, there are different colors and so on, but basic things is the same. Because basic thing was here, in this part, your pipeline. And in here it's still the same, it's just, there are now menu buttons and so on, but this is the product. Everything here is the teal, and you can just jump in, see what's the teal about. This will give you also some information saying that your activity, that you don't have any other activity connected with the deal. It shows that everything is fine, this activity is over too. So, and we have built so much behind that, but basic things have stayed the same. Let's just, I don't know. In our case, we have 5 founders. Honestly, I believe that it would be better to have a bit less founders, but 5 is still handleable. But most important is to have the best possible know-how in your team. Because I have worked in IT, but Urmas and Timo has worked forever in sales. That's why we know everything about the sales. If you don't have this know-how in your teams and what you're doing, that's why it's very hard to basically start company from high school or even university first courses, because you don't have know-how. You can be lucky like Zuckerberg, but I believe more that your chances are higher when you start company if you have worked in this specific field already at least some years. But again, this is just me. So this is how it. Actually, we have also one location in UK, but it's so small. This is how it looks today, how we are divided by different positions. So this is engineering and infrastructure. This is support. This is marketing, sales, product development is very important, and everything else is the white one. So we are highly and very much focused into the product development and IT. First thing, we nailed down what's the problem, and the problem was here. People don't use the software. How we can build software that people are using. There are many solutions, but how we can nail down that one. And this was example how one team handled a pipeline in Wall. Because it's so easy. There's a post-it notes. You can just take it and move it. Because how we can build this one into the product. So, and I have seen still even in garage events people are putting post-it notes onto the wall because it's much easier to handle information flow in this way. Even the Trello, obviously. If you start something, you have to be sure that you know everything about the market, the product, and so on. And without product, you don't have anything. You have to nail down what you want to build, who is the clients, and how to solve the problem. And maybe the things what is changing now rapidly is the case that your customers are your most important asset after your team. And you have to treat them as your, friends. We would never ever outsource customer support. This is so important part of your company that we had one event where everybody in company did customer support just to understand where we are failing, what we need to be better and so on. So, and if you are really great on that, then this is what happens. People start to talk about you. They will start to act as your best marketing channel. This was written by our clients out of blue. And we're still growing virally because our existing clients are so happy about us. And this is just, random stuff from Twitter and from other sources. They just talk about us and saying these emotions. So we can spend less on the marketing and more on the product, which is helping everywhere. The main problem is that even this is a great place to start a company. The problem is that feedback what you're getting from clients can be tricky. So you have to, and basically to understanding what are the real problems in the world, you should really get outside of comfort zone and try to whatever, go to university in some other country or whatever. Live there, not visit. Last year I was actually visiting 18 countries, and many things and many things was getting me more and more clear, like how Brazilians are thinking and working and so on. So I'm really the believer that you can start global company from Estonia, but you should really start focusing on the right customers. You know, the one thing what people are afraid is like, I'm afraid to start because people can steal my idea. I have heard this many times. And you know, nobody can ever steal your idea in this sense that the idea itself is not important. What is important is execution, and nobody can steal your execution. Just one example. In Russia, somebody copied our service one by one. They copied front end, but because you can do that, by the way. If you open this Russian company product front end, we saw words in Estonian language. And they said, no, we never copied it, you know. It's just, everything was so similar. This is the copycat, and you know, everything was the same. But, and what you will do, sir? You will go to the court in Russia? You're kidding me. Nowadays you don't even want to go at Russia at all anymore. So what we did, we ignored them. But some things still happen. We had already clients in Russia, and they had, you know, webinars where they are talking about product, blah, blah, blah. Our client showed up in seminar and said, guys, this is cheap copycats, he stole this software. Would you ever trust your business information to somebody who is stealing your product? So basically what happens is our client base started to grow Russia because of our copycat. Because they help people to understand what is concept and why you need software. And when they understood, they was going to the original one. So it was a very bad story, but ended up very well for us. So my point is like, don't afraid about starting something, because what counts is execution, not the idea itself. If you're so young like you are today, you should try to sneak out into some successful startup, whatever way, and learn, sir. But the main thing is always like, you have to have like, you know, you have to have fun working in somewhere. And you know, so what we did, we took investors, some investors to Estonia, and we was going to sauna. And for the people in US, it was like, what the hell? He was naked to get him the investors in some room. So they were writing this article, because for them it was crazy that, oh my god, you have investors who are like very respected guys, and then some startup founders naked in the same room. This sounds sick, by the way. So anyway, so that's why this article was in US, and not only that, it happens to be that one of our founders is firewalking instructor. So we also forced them to walk on the hot coals. And this article was in this day the most shared article among the all Silicon Valley investors. Because it was just so fucking crazy for them. So you should always find ways how to have fun, because otherwise you will burn out. I have 2 minutes, eh?
Yeah.
Okay. So the almost this last slide is that if you're building products, and many times people can use it differently. And we have been building, as I explained, business software. In one day, one of our clients was tweeting how she is using that. She lived in New York, and this is how her pipeline looked. Because she used pipeline for the dating. Basically, she had the problem. She had too many candidates for the boyfriend. So she built up the pipeline where she had this information, and one guy was 1D. So as you can see, first stage was idea. I have idea to date somebody. It was like, you know, idea, like whatever, this random guy. Okay, we have already flirting, you know, we have at least some connection. Then dating to discover, I can't truly understand what's behind that, but you can imagine. The next thing is interesting. Sexual compatibility, yes. So in our believing, every stage should end with exact action. So I guess that they had some fun time. So sharing relationship is desires. By the way, it's important that sex is before, so that you are at the same level. By the way, this is very important in US. And I don't understand the last thing. So you're basically having serious like talks. Do we start to date or not? And then deal closed. So I actually approached this girl and said, "Oh my God, this is so great. Can we write the article?" And she actually replied us like after a few months said, "Deal is closed. I found a boyfriend. I don't need any more software." So my point is, if you're building really great thing, you never know how people will start to use it. For me, actually, these books have been super motivating. The Steve Jobs, Founders at Work, and Richard Branson, and also so if you want to read some stuff how the real life should happen in stuff, these are the good. There's also Ben Horowitz's book, Hard Things About Hard Things, but to understand it really you have to have been in startup already. But this is something what you can read before you have any experience, because even this guy was one of the biggest assholes in the world. I'm not kidding. Like he basically he in the first he had the daughter and he basically ignored that fact like many years, and he was really sorry. And in many ways he was asshole. Like if iPhone was launched, half of the engineers left from Apple because he was forcing them so hardly. He didn't care about people, but still he had one of the highest skills ever in the global life. He cared about the product, and he didn't believe. He said basically, no, it's still bad. Just come more like 3 times. No, it's still not good. Still not good. But anyway, these are the very good things to just read and get some ideas. If you want to launch something. So I'm up to the time now, and so that's it. If you have any questions?
Yeah, let's ask a few questions as well. Now's the time.
Yeah.
What is the approximate yearly growth in Hyper's customer base?
Very good question. By the way, the one thing which I should tell you is that how to even make definition of a startup. So that startup is company which should grow every month and maybe even weekly. And in Pipedrive, in the level where we are, you have to double or triple your revenue or any kind of KPIs yearly. So we are between of those numbers. It's more than 2, it's a bit less than 3. So, and this is the numbers we have to hit, otherwise it's kind of slow for the Silicon Valley standards. So, yeah, go on.
Are you thinking about exiting, or you just want to carry on with money?
This is another great thing. If you start a company, you should never think about exiting, because that's lifestyle. And you have to be ready to give 10 years of your life for something. So we are not thinking about exiting. So that's why, this is really choice of your lifestyle. Otherwise you will say, like, if I'm looking people, if you're like working somewhere 4 or 5 years, that's fine. But if you're a founder, you have to say, I like this so much that I can work until 10 years.
So you want to go away from?
Yes, we have talked to it already. So it's more likely scenarios than exiting, because we have now 65 people. I truly believe we have one of the best people in Europe in our Estonian office, and I can hang out with them, say all friends. The biggest thing is, by the way, choosing your teammates. We have at least 5-6 interviews, and we have choose people. I can go out with every single of them and just talk as a friend. There's nobody in company which I feel like awkward or whatever. So, because we have chosen people who are similar for us, that's why I basically enjoy every second in company. If you have somebody who is whatever, like stinks or whatever, or like different, then it can be dangerous. But yeah, we have been already thought about IPO, and not into the Estonia ever, indeed, but into the US. But it will be at least 4 or 5 years before something like this could happen, because you have to build company even differently. So public company is different, it's transparent and so on. By the way, a friend of mine is building a company which is Buffer app, where you can buffer your feeds and other things. They are so transparent that you can see say live dashboard, how much they are making revenue, like in live dashboard. They have even, by the way, done these things that you can find out how much every employee has salary. And I believe that world is into the more and more transparent the style. Okay, we are behind that, but I totally, personally like that idea. More questions?
How much do you earn?
I can tell you one thing. In January, we made it to break even, which means that we earn more than we spend it. And we have 65 people in basically in Estonia and in US. So then you can make your own calculation. Yeah?
Does your workers' salaries grow when the company grows, or are they frozen? My idea is that if company grows, salaries should grow.
My idea is that every single of my employee has stock options, which means if company in one day will make big for the IPO exit, every one of them has huge motivation and price. But we are reviewing salaries depending on the people once or twice per year. But top of that, every single of them has stock options. And this is what I truly believe, because company is now 4.5 years old. We have lost 3 persons. 2 of them actually was going to Germany, and one was just didn't know what he wanted to do anymore. So nobody in Estonia has managed to steal our employers. And in these 2 cases, when they left to Germany, I even understood why they left, because it was logical for them what they want to do, and we are still very good friends. But yeah, like I agree with you in this sense that the employers have to feel if something is growing great. And by the way, you have to be also ready that in your first 2 years, most likely you don't have money to even pay salaries. So that's why stock options is the most important thing, which is in Estonia, by the way, has some legal problems, but it's not big issues. Like Taavi Leivas promised to me 2 months ago that he will fix it. So I am kind of like in very difficult situation because as he promised, and I most likely want to have this happen. So I should still like choose again him back to the parliament, even though I have my own like issues with this party. But yeah, like I'm very happy that Estonian government, our Prime Minister and Ilves and our President is very, very addicted to the startup life. So both of them has been in my office, and Taavi Leivas is even kind of like, when we had meeting, I pushed him really like, okay, you invited us into here. Let's make a system now. Every 3 months we are meeting and looking what you have done. And it's like, oh my God, how somebody can say like that? I said, until this startup, we have the same thing. The only thing what really comes to execution just shows that you have done shit. I actually didn't use that word, but many was that. Do we have more questions? And as I said, for me it feels like if you're so young and you are really motivated, you can indeed try out something now, but I will really look how to get into this great company which I just showed you, because you can learn faster. But at the same time, it's totally fine when you are so brave and ready to do something yourself. It's super fine.
How old were you when you started your first startup?
I would really want to say I was 21, but I was not. So I was more than 30. But in the statistical way, by the way, if you look people always talking about Snapchat and Facebook and all these things. But if you look like out of top 10, kind of like average, not average, but not average, but just a bit like lower, then these are usually started by people who has huge experience already. Like now, by the way, one other example, one company moved into basically from 0 to 1 billion valuation in 16 months, and this was started by guys who are founders of Flickr, which was bought by Yahoo many years ago. So they had experience already, very good. And also, honestly, TransferWise is also like, the one guy was first employer at Skype, so he had also experience. And by the way, he did at least 10 or 15 investments also into the startup. So he was really, really like, into the area. But sometimes you're lucky, and your first startup is super like successful, and success can be different. Indeed, honestly, you can still start company here, you can grow and you can sell it. My point is like, as I'm always like looking at the maximum targets, and I believe that it's always better to put your target in so high that you can maybe go like here. And that at least in my experience, living in Valley it has like really like blowing my mind to what I can do and what everybody can do and what kind of challenges we are facing. And in Valley, the thing what I like, this event what we have today here, there are at least every day 10 or 20 events like that, minimum. So you can basically go around and just grab this know-how information everywhere. You can go to the random cafeteria and see that at least 4 or 5 people are pitching their idea to investors in the same time. So this is the biggest thing. But what we have here is, I believe that we have very good quality of the people here. Like Estonians are loyal, very hardworking, and these are very good things because in Valley, I have hired people in Valley also, and they just change company every after 10 months. Here, like if you look, people who work for us, they have worked 5 or 7 years for Skype before they joined Pipedrive, and they believe that it will be another 5 or 7 years at least. And before I'm finishing, said in Garage we have thinking about how to do the things also a bit maybe younger audience, and I hope that in next year or so we will came up something, because I am actually working even with some idea to the Ukrainian market. That's definitely go to the Estonian market, right? Because at the first is just having first experience to doing something, which is very meaningful. So no more questions? Okay, thanks.
Thank you.